What a fine poetic name for something as rotten and twisted as our land has become. It was not always so. Long ago, the old empire, the noblest and most enduring society created by humankind, spanned almost the entire continent of Zerine, the cradle of man. But after several millennia of progress and incomparable achievements, inevitably, the empire began to fall into stagnation and decadence. Desperately holding on to their privileges and resisting change while trying to avert the collapse of the realm, the emperor and his theocracy took to measures that were worthy of true despots in cruelty. Subjugating weaker realms, enslaving whole nations, strip mining foreign resources, oppressing imperial citizens, war on several fronts, genocide. Eventually, the gods could no longer tolerate such horrors wrought in their name. Foretold by an abundance of divine omens, they descended upon the empire to right its wrongs. Thus, in a chain of dreadful events that became known as the Calamity, they annihilated the empire in a matter of days. The gods then finally saw what they had done in their anger and confusion. It is said that so much grief and shame filled them that they were broken and they left this reality, never to return. The continent and its inhabitants seemed dead, but at length survivors began to crawl out of their hiding holes and faced a land that no longer welcomed them. Arcane anomalies, the fallout of the Calamity, now riddled the continent, and people realized that they had to share their new home with changed and twisted creatures. Terrible beings entered through the cracks in the tapestry of reality and rose to rule over the natives. In time, these new powers rebuilt the fallen empire in their own image, and the Riven Realms, now godless and vengeful, reincarnated from the ashes. The inhabitants of the land, such as I, now eke out a living under the crushing rule of the new empire. The continent itself constantly resists our every attempt at building a cozy home for ourselves. As travel is dangerous, many ventures specialize in transferring cargo and passengers over bleak and deadly leagues of land. Others try to take everything of value from said travelers, or attempt to find buried treasures among the ruins of the old empire. The leaders of the endeavors are, some say, the bravest men and women of the Riven Realms. Such a leader is called a Vagrus.
Well, well, well. What have we here? Do you think we'll finally progress the story today? I don't think so, because I can't. I can't. I literally can't. We have to, like I was smashing one of the stories, but it turns out it's fucked. So, we have to go start on one of the other ones. The one where you have to do the worms requires that you are able to speak to the prefectus or whatever of Avernum, and you can't do that. Or rather, I can't do that, because the game is, in some cases, absolutely fucking awful. When you get to Avernum, when you enter the arena, there's an event. And in the arena event, there is an assassin who is trying to kill the prefectus. And you just see that from a stand, like you're just watching the games, and you notice that, but you happen to be sitting like close by for whatever reason. I don't it's kind of weird. But you have a choice to interfere or just watch. And if you just watch, you're basically cucked out of half of the game. If you interfere, then you get a new party member, and you can actually talk to the prefectus, and you can do the worm quest. So now what happens is that either we are like permanently locked out because we didn't do that, or I'm not sure, because the developers are fucking terrible when it comes to actually communicating. Like, it's like they're not paying attention at all. So like I asked around, tried to get some info, but got nothing. So I have no idea if I can actually talk to the guy, because I've read that you're supposed to be able to talk to the prefectus once you get to renown 9, which, by the way, I have played for 80 hours and I'm renown 5. So we need to get to twice as high renown than I am now in order to do one of the first quests in the game. Which is retarded. Like, it's genuinely retarded. It almost made me uninstall the game. It's that fucking retarded. Because you can't like do any quests for him to gain his favor or anything. You literally just cannot access the prefectus at all, even though you can still talk to the gladiator guy in prison, Scornar or whatever, and he's like, you gotta talk to this guy, and you can't talk to him. so I really don't know what to make out of it, make of that. Like, is the game bugged, or am I just locked out? If the game is bugged, when I get to 9 and I can't talk to him, I'm never playing this game again until I see a patch that fixes that. But I guess we'll just ignore this quest line for now, and we'll go and try to do the winds one instead. But I don't actually know where we need to go for that. But the Return of the Worms, we can't do that one at all. So apparently we need to give Renkylon stuff still. I'm a little confused, like how much stuff he wants, because I feel like I've been giving him tons of stuff. We can go to the library. And timber. Do I have any copper with me right now? Yeah. So is this a good iron price? I feel like this should be a good place to sell iron. 65. Yeah, I mean, it's 68 in crystal, but that means going to crystal. This is the best place to... All right. So we have... Actually, we have the copper and the timber, so we just need to go back now. Spice. Can we sell that somewhere else? Sunrock. I feel like almost anywhere is better than here. Arkin. We'd have to go to the Twin Towers to sell the spice. But here's the question. Should we go to the Twin Towers? What does the quest say about the winds right now? Star Garden. Travel north of the border range into a valley with peculiar monoliths. What? Here? Okay. This is easy. You just go there. Okay. If we do that, then we've finished the 4 corners quest. Which might actually give us a renown, so that might be what we want to do. Beast of Arkan. I have people who want to go to Crystal. I feel like the spice price is really bad here. 59. Yeah, 52 Larnak. That's like the only thing to make it worthwhile. Borax. The 6 Zadivar bone necklaces. I don't know how to get that anymore. Like, we basically have to just find a random Vitrar encounters in the wild or something. I genuinely don't know how to do this. The Dread Reavers. We could do this. The Lost Grifter. Am I stupid? I don't seem to have anything about the winds. What are we supposed to do about that? Petition for an audience. Anger Surgorod. You find interesting drawings of tumors and fleshy growths on a wall. Did I do this already? The one-eyed man smiles as he looks at the drawings. Some of my own work, he confides. Ever since I was booted out of the Ashkolites upon realizing that I'm more interested in healing than in funerals, I've been intrigued by the taint. A curious ailment, don't you think? No medicos truly knows how the bastard works. How it's transmitted, if at all. The greatest mystery of our time, if you ask me. So I've been studying it naturally. Some of my findings and doubts have been committed to parchment here. I like looking at them sometimes, even if only to remind myself of how much work is ahead of us still. When you ask him why he is possessed by this sense of responsibility, he smiles serenely before talking. Nobody cares for the tainted Vagrus. Neglected and forlorn, they suffer without end. I feel for them, so I try to find out as much as I can about their curse, so that perhaps one day someone might heal them. Okay, I think I had already done that. Offices of the Legate, here. Try to find out more about the wind situation. You inquire about the current situation with the Whispering Winds, which is the talk of the town, but you can immediately sense that something is not right from the reaction of the official. You are subsequently sent to an administrator, then some offices that are supposed to deal with logistical issues, who then in turn send you over to another office handling public information. They tell you all this is classified. Eventually, an Ashgul priest informs you that there is indeed something odd with the winds. Ever since an earthquake and storms occurred down south at the Singing Winds. He will not elaborate, but tells you that a detachment of the Empire is hard at work to protect citizens such as you. They are stationed to the south of Torzag's shelter. Apparently, for security reasons, all travel over the Cephis Mountains is temporarily suspended. Yeah, we know that. I'm having trouble figuring out how to progress this. Oh, also, let's just take some delivery quests here. To Lumen. Yeah, we do want to go to Lumen. Let's take that. Oh shit, that filled up my stuff immediately. Yeah, it was 5 things. Okay. I guess we really can't do more than that. What do I do with the coffee? Why do I even have coffee? Sells for 53 in Belarius. $61 at Vitrar. Really? Am I supposed to hand this in somewhere? Let's see, Vagrus. Coffee. Fort Viridium, 106. Or 83 last time. Yeah, we're supposed to hand it in there. Fort Viridium. So... what do they sell here? I feel like they sell... I actually don't know what price... what's a good price here. The coffee. Yeah, actually coffee. Let's see what sells at like Lumen. Basically nothing that's worthwhile. It's coffee is the best thing that we can buy here. Sells for 15 crystal. 53 Velarius. But it takes a day to go to Velarius. It does take a day to go to crystal too. Coffee sells for 49 in Lumen, which means to me that we might as well just sell it there, because then that's just one trip. And quite frankly, I feel like there's nothing else that's worth selling in Lumen from here. Like chitin is like 1. We could buy chitin, just buy something. Otherwise, nothing is good here. Mushroom beer. Also 1-ish. Mushrooms, 1.5. We'll take some mushrooms, I guess. Iosan Quarry. I don't want to go there, really. All right. Let's go. Sudden gales and odd winds are no strangers to wanderers of the wasteland such as you, but even you have to admit that there is something different about these gusts. It is almost as if there were voices on the wind, barely audible, just beyond the threshold of perception. Whispers. People stop in their tracks to listen and frown in concentration. The whole experience is quite unnerving. You calm them, ordering everyone to focus and get a move on. The crew trudges on, trying not to think about it. Eventually, the wind dies down. Should be able to go there. Is this a 3? No, it's fine. Wonder if we can find anything new in Ventulium. Kinda doubt it. Observe the great monolith from up close. Listen to the melody with expert ears. Listening to the noise for a while makes you realize that there are patterns in the perceived chaos, just very well hidden for most listeners. Yet with a good ear for melody, one can perhaps hear music. We're savvy 8. You stop dead and even your heart skips a beat the moment you find the tune. Nay, the system of tunes hidden in the cacophony. It cannot be a coincidence. Someone has built this mind-bogglingly complex stone spire to function as a musical instrument that the winds play with astonishing consistency. Was it a sorcerer with a musical obsession or a mad god? You cannot help but wonder. Whatever it was, simply standing there listening to the sweet hidden melodies changes something in you and you will never forget it. Eventually, it is time to leave. +2 insight. Okay. Is that really all Ventulium is? It's +2 XP? Sure. I'll take +2 XP. Ah, shit! Four Corners was there. Oh, I thought it was here for some reason. Damn it. Actually, I don't think we can go there. I'm not so convinced you can go there at all before the wind dies down. Let's go finish the Beast of Arkan. I was like role-playing before, in a way where I was just not doing things that didn't fit the character that we were trying to play. But I don't feel like the game actually supports that. So we're just gonna go and do everything now. That's what we're gonna do. So we're looking for the Beast of Arkan. Send some scouts out. Yep. Sure, this means something to someone. Blue scroll, 98%. Purple. It's purple. Blue scroll. I think that's probably the event. Blue scroll. Fruits. Beast lore. You have ventured to the small quarry mentioned by Hermann. It is not particularly hard to find. The site is completely abandoned, and still, with only the ever-present desert wind blowing through the rickety scaffolding and hollow The site is completely abandoned and still, with only the ever-present desert wind blowing through the rickety scaffolding and hollow excavation pits. Soon, you find the spot where the Slerad herder disappeared. It is a veritable mess of ruined scaffolding and scattered equipment. At first glance, there is nothing to be learned from this location. It takes some effort, but the site yields some useful information after all. After a meticulous search, you find several half-buried tracks, indicating a huge, many-legged creature, and a few shed pieces of chitin. A bit further away, the soft ground is slightly caved in. Maybe something has dug its way through the ground here. At the edge of the hole, you find the residue of some gooey, gelatinous material emitting a horrendous stench. Poison, or maybe some other kind of substance secreted by the creature. You think hard, trying to determine what type of beasts these signs point to. There can be no doubt. You're up against a stinger scorpion, a ferocious beast indeed. Knowing that, you grow a bit more confident. It won't be an easy fight, but at least you know you stand a chance. The devil you know. After finding the first few tracks, it doesn't take too long to uncover the prints leading away from the quarry, possibly to the monster's lair. There you might stand a chance to corner it if you are careful and lucky. Follow the trail. It leads you northwest from the site of carnage. Following the tracks of the monster haunting Arkan's vicinity, you soon come upon a mound littered with bones and even clothing scattered around. The monster must be nearby. You have to be careful. Look for signs of the beast with your companions while the Comitatus waits at a safe distance. You leave the Comitatus behind and enter the maze of stone pillars with your companions. You search the site warily to be light on your feet and not make any noise, and indeed, there it is. Half buried under the sand, you glimpse the chitinous back of some large monster. It lies there in wait, but it hasn't noticed you yet. Now is your opportunity to strike. Ambush the beast. Whoa. Shit. Alright. Well, it doesn't really matter what it has or what it does. What does mark target actually do? Oh, it doesn't work. You can't mouse. And see, this is what I mean. Like, I just have no respect for developers who don't fix their games. Like, if you sell your game and you can't even hover over like certain icons in the UI, then you don't deserve a good review. Like, I don't care how little time you think you have or whatever. Like, it's just not acceptable. So I have mark target, it does something. I don't know what it does because I can't hover over it. And that's why I have given this game a negative review on Steam, and I will keep it that way. Because they don't fix this stuff. This stuff has been in the game since it came out. And it's been reported like 1,000 times. They just don't... Like, unless it's literally game breaking, they don't fix bugs. I do not approve. Because this is actually a big bug as well. Like, it's an unacceptably large bug. You can't use the UI, so you can't understand what your skill does. That directly breaks the game. Like, you just have to know what it does in order for this to be like something you can use. But so like this is actually a huge bug. So I don't understand how you can, as a developer, you look at that and you're like, yeah, whatever, I have other things to do. Especially considering how much effort you put into actually making the game in the first place. That's what absolutely boggles me. You just made an entire ass game and you're like, whatever. It's like completely broken. Who cares? Move on. And it's like, I feel like every single bug that's like that as well would literally take one afternoon to fix. So it's not like you don't have time, like you're working full time or whatever, sure. But you could fix all of these bugs in a week, I think. Like genuinely, every single bug that's currently in the game, in the combat segment, could be fixed in 1 week. Because it's literally just like so it's like a rect issue in Unity in the canvas where like your something is like overlapping it, so you like need to fix it and it's done. Like it's that kind of issue we're talking about. Letting out one final shriek, the enormous insect monster goes down rolling on its back and folding its segmented legs over its soft belly with a final twitch. You managed to vanquish the beast terrorizing Arkan. Hermon will be no doubt delighted to hear of it. Your companions search the carcass and the surrounding lair for any resources or valuables. You also cut the thing's stinger off to show as proof later on. Time to return to Hermon. 5 chitin. Sweet. And here we can apparently forage. This is a good place for foraging, I think. It gave me less than half a day's worth of stuff. So I don't understand. It's just not useful. Like, you can scout, right? And the only reason to scout is to find like an event. And then you can also find like hunting places that are good for hunting and stuff. But it uses up so much movement. It means that it uses up like 250 supplies in order to scout once. And then you find like a hunting spot, and that good hunting spot, instead of giving you like nothing, it gives you 80. So you still lose, even if you find a good hunting spot. And that's what's so weird to me. Because I don't know how you would make it work. It's like, do you need to have like a scout army? Like, you don't have fighters, you only have scouts? Like, is that the idea? And then if you do that, then you can go hunting? Or am I like, is the intention that I'm supposed to have as many scouts as fighters? Because sure, they can fight, but they're not nearly as good as riders. Weird. I don't really know what the idea is. Oh, the Reavers are here. You are to set out to Salem together. Let's do that later then. Bounty of the Beast. You visit the abode of Hermon the Herder. Sitting in front of his hut, he looks expectantly at you as you approach. You tell him you have vanquished the scorpion, showing its stinger as proof. Dust swirls up as you drop the monster's stinger before Hermon's feet. The herder looks up. Ah, someone true to their word at last, he says. A stinger scorpion, then. Well done, Vagrus. I assume it was no easy fight. Here, your reward. Oh, and I'll make sure everyone hears about this. Was about time someone competent came along. The beast's poison sac is intact. You could ask him to give it to you. Hermon sees no reason to keep the sack, so he cuts it out and hands it over. I'll keep the stinger, though. It'll be a nice piece of decoration in my humble abode, he chuckles. You say goodbye, but not before pouring the contents of the sack into a vial for later use. Potent poison. Ooh. Explore the city. You pass by one of the numerous open-air storage sites. A bunch of heavily perspiring slaves are trying to haul a huge block of marble atop a pile of other slabs. Just as you walk by, suddenly some of them fall to the ground, and within an instant their co-workers find themselves balancing their heavy weight with much less manpower than they had before. The piece of marble slowly slips from their sweaty hands and threatens to crush all of them underneath its weight. Panicked screams fill the sweltering air. So, this one, leave them to their fate, is what I have done before. And if you do that, all of your party members become happy. They love seeing a random slave get splattered and turned into blood and mush. But let's try the other one. Quickly command a few of your own slaves to hurry over and lend a hand. They all... Kripta, Garrick, Harvick, Nadir, and Ren Kylon lost loyalty. Have you got a party of sociopaths? Yes. I mean, the nation that we're in was decimated by the gods because they were, like, at least the intro says that the country was decimated because they were, like, they were corrupt, they were waging wars everywhere, they were, you know, they had slaves that they were just completely mistreating, etc., etc., like all these kind of things. And then the nation got obliterated by the gods. And the surviving people is still the same government as before, and they haven't improved. It's literally illegal to be, like, actively against slavery. That's called being an abolitionist, and it's illegal. So that's just like the kind of environment, I suppose, that all of the characters come from. So I do think it makes sense that everybody is, like, kind of one way or another adjacent to the status quo, in that sense. That everyone is, like, minding your own business, don't do, like, good deeds for no reason, you know, keep to yourself. There are good party members too, but I've only found 2 characters so far that are actually good. As for one of the DLC characters, the undead guy, he's, like, neutral. You can have him in any party. But everyone else is evil. And I have not found any other party members at all. So far everyone is, like, quote-unquote evil. They like it when you like kill people, take slaves, or those kind of things. What if you put the evil ones with the good? Do they fall out? No. I don't think they actually. Well, I'm not sure. I think they're supposed. Actually, I don't think so. I don't think they ever interact with each other, really. But it doesn't work because, well, you can. Actually, you can. But you have to balance it. Because every single time that you do something that they don't like, they lose loyalty, and eventually they'll start complaining and they'll be like, I'm gonna leave. And at that point, what you can do is you can give them gifts and stuff. You can also just make sure that you do their quest, which will also give you a huge boost in loyalty. But if you want to have good characters with evil characters, you're gonna have to pay them off eventually, I think. They also lose loyalty from just like getting killed in combat. But they also gain loyalty from winning fights. But that's kind of hard to really have. So either you're one extreme or the other if you want an easy life, or theoretically if there were enough good characters anyway, yes. But that does kind of, I mean, it does make sense, but it is kind of annoying. Baldur's Gate 2 is this way too, or Baldur's Gate 1 as well. But there you have like a global reputation, and if you have a high reputation, then everybody likes you if they're good, but evil characters will not like you. And if you have a lower reputation, it's the opposite, right? And there it's like you can have evil characters with good characters, but you have to really stay in the middle. There's a mod for Baldur's Gate 2 that just like removes it, so you can just play with whoever you want, because it is kind of just annoying. But usually in a D&D game, you make like, I am a good character, because you have to pick alignment anyway, right? So if you make a good character, you're probably gonna play with the good characters anyway. But there, they have more like actual interactions. This game isn't like super heavy on the character bit, which is a little bit sad. I wish it was more. It's really just like one thing. But let's see what happens here. Your slaves rush over to help, and just in time it seems. The slab of marble reaches its balance point, and is about to topple over, but at the last moment the slaves manage to push it back. Panting, they sink to their knees. You hear grumbling and turn around. There stands an older man dressed in the traditional garbs of a priest of Ashkul. Your eyes meet. That was ill-advised, he says. I could see the doubt in your eyes for a moment there. I hoped you'll let death have its rightful due. I was mistaken. Before you can reply, the priest turns his back with cold contempt and walks away. But now someone else approaches you. A local merchant, apparently the owner of the slaves, the marble block, or maybe both. I saw what you did, he exclaims gratefully. You saved me a lot of money with your intervention. Let me repay you somehow. I know. There's some salt. I have had trouble selling, as it fetches a poor price here. But a traveling fellow like you might find other places to sell it, eh? Who says good deeds are in vain? Me, because it's only 4 salt! And also my slaves gain some obedience. Well, I mean, I guess. Could just sell it here. But I think you buy marble here, I think. But can we, is there a quest for Lumen? Distribute to Lumen. 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 Then What's the salt price over in Lumen? It's like 1 extra. It's not worth it. I'm just gonna sell it. Obsidian blades are illegal. I'm gonna throw them away. And we'll buy marble. Marble. Right. Let's see. Yeah, we have a bunch of guys, so I'm gonna go to Crystal, so I guess we can go there. I actually want to go here to sell some shit, but Tillian Instincts, Krowog's Lair. Let's just rush over to Lumen. I decided to not play any more Path of Exile. I realized I was just gonna keep wigging out, whinging the whole time. I was like, honestly, why bother? Until they release the 1.0 patch. And we maybe see some real changes. Then, like, what's the point? Was the new update a letdown? It's not that the update was a letdown, it's just the game as a whole. It's just not what I'm hoping it to be. Because it's like... Path of Exile 1 really boils down to like a one-button build, really. Like, it's not really true, but it is in practice true. Because you just pick a skill, and then you make that skill destroy everything on the screen. Like, that's how it works. And they really want to get away from that. But the way they've handled it is that they've made skills kind of be like stepping stones to other things. So you basically have to find a mechanic that lets you do like giga turbo damage with another skill. So if you're playing a warrior, for example, you have to break armor with a skill. You can make your basic attack, or you can make your like rolling slam or something break armor when you do damage with it. And then once the enemy gets stunned, you can make them take more damage when they're stunned. So then you can do like giga damage against stunned enemies. And then you have like a big charge up attack that does giga damage against enemies that are stunned. Even more so, and then you make it do even more giga damage against enemies that have broken armor, and then it like removes the broken armor from them in exchange for doing like giga turbo damage. And each class has like 3 skills like that do like giga damage, and then everything else really just boils down to how do I like make these 3 viable skills do damage. And that's just not how I want to play, because it's just like, it means that all the builds are like forced. Like, I can't just look at a skill and be like, this looks cool, I want to try playing this, because it doesn't work. Because the skill is designed in a way, like the numbers are tweaked in a way where it's only supposed to do something that lets you use a bigger skill. And so it becomes like very forced. And it becomes very hard to make like cool custom characters. So it kind of feels like, yeah, they have this super vast system, but they've designed it in a way where only like 3 options are viable, and then everything else just makes you pissed off. And I just don't want to do it anymore. and on top of that, I've already tried like most of those builds, and now it's just like whenever I try something else, I'm like, oh, I want to play a wizard that uses like this spell and that spell, and then you start doing that and you realize that, oh yeah, like this is literally like you can create vines on the ground that like entangle enemies and stuff, but it's useless because in order for it to do damage, you have to cast another spell called Thunderstorm on it, which makes it rain, which makes it grow like bigger, like blossoming nodules that like explode. And then on top of that, you can cast another spell that like makes the entangle like grow big vines that start lashing out. And if you're not doing this one very specific combo, then the skill doesn't do anything. And another example, like, because I could go on for, because every single class works like this, right? The druid can turn into a werewolf, and the werewolf, all of the werewolf's attacks except for its basic attack is like ice based. It does ice, this and that, and that's because the basic attack does only physical damage, but it has a thing. It has like a clause in the skill that says that if it attacks something that is frozen, it will like claw off little ice crystals that'll just fall on the ground and then explode after a while. So the only way to play it, because it has this ice crystal thing, is that you use all the other skills to freeze the enemies, then you claw them with the claw skill, so the little ice things fall on the ground, and then you have like an attack called cross slash that attacks in a cross and then jumps backwards, and that will then like make all of the ice crystals like drag towards the targets that cross slash hit and explode for like 10 times more damage or something like that. And so that's the only thing you can do, because I tried playing werewolf and I was like, oh, what if we like play like just the auto attack and we make it do like bleed and poison and stuff like that, but like no, it just doesn't work because the numbers aren't there. Because if the numbers were there, then like the pre-designed combo would be too powerful. So like it's all just, it's rough. Bit of a design flaw. The idea sounds fun, but the execution's wasted. Yeah, they're just designing it in a way where like I understand that they're a bit disappointed in how Path of Exile 1 is, because Path of Exile 1 is very one-dimensional. You just like spam your like teleport ability and then you like jump into packs, you attack like 8 times a second, and you just destroy everything and everything just explodes. Like that's how it plays. You never think about anything or whatever. So that's what they wanted to change for Path of Exile 2. They wanted you to be like, oh, this enemy, because this is literally what they showed in the trailer back in the day and what they talked about. So this is the plan, right? They wanted to have enemies that have like lots of armor, and then because they have lots of armor, you're gonna want to use armor break on it, so that you can break its armor, and then you can deal with it better because now it has less armor, so you can do more damage to it. Or like this big enemy is, you know, it has a powerful attack, so you might want to stun it or whatever. Like that was the idea. But the way the game works is that the stun, the armor break, whatever, they don't have cooldowns or anything like that. Which means that in order for them to be able, in terms of game balancing, to allow these skills to be powerful, that means that you have to be forced on the passive skill tree to invest into it, right? So if you want to be able to freeze enemies, you have to invest into freeze and cold damage. However, what this means is that you can't have like situational freeze, because instead what happens is that your entire build just becomes freeze, and then it becomes strong against like those enemy types that you would want to use freeze against like normally otherwise, like, and like lots of enemies that swarm you or whatever. So it just becomes a one button thing again. Like you're just like passively doing all these things that they wanted you to choose to do instead. So and it's because they have this aversion towards cooldowns. Because that's like old school gamers, they don't like cooldowns. And cooldowns aren't like perfect, but I do think that they're really good in general as a design tool. So they do like everything they can to avoid having cooldowns in the game, which means they can't have situational skills that let you control, manage, crowd control, do anything useful, because then without the cooldown or like some way to hamper the skill, it becomes too powerful. Because like if you had like an AoE stun that stuns everything around you and you can just press it like every single button press, like it just doesn't make sense. So instead you have this hybrid swap that just doesn't do either well. Yeah. But I could rant literally all day about Path of Exile's design. Like there's so much about it that is a problem that could be improved. And there are games that do things better, but not like that much. I think Diablo 3 has the best ARPG combat. Like honestly, when it comes to gameplay systems in general, that's just how it is. I could talk all day about gameplay systems and why they're good, why they're bad. Path of Exile just happens to be a very large game that has a lot of systems, and they're all broken. So it just happens to be like a perfect storm that I can rant about like a lot. Yeah. But yeah, like Diablo 3 does a very good job about like the whole like having choices thing in combat, because you always like, depending on your build, you'll always feel like, oh shit, I have like all these enemies on top of me. These enemies do like a big charge attack. They're gonna slam me in the head. And on top of that, they're like champions. So there's like fucking fireballs all over the place. There's like spinning beams of arcane energy. So I'm gonna press my stun, because that'll interrupt all of their shit for like 2 seconds, which will give me some space to attack them, regenerate a bit, do whatever. Or you can press your leap or whatever and jump out of there for a while, run away, wait for your other cooldowns to come back, kite them a little bit. You know, so you like actually have real choices there, but that's because they have cooldowns. Meanwhile, Last Epoch has like the best character customization out of any ARPG by far, because you can make, just like how I was talking about how like when I want to make a character in PoE2, I'll look at a skill and I'll be like, this is a cool concept. I want to try to get this to work, but you can't. In Last Epoch, you can do that with every skill. Every single skill in the entire game has a built-in like talent tree, and you can customize it to do whatever you want it to do. So as long as the talent tree like supports the playstyle you're trying to push the skill into, you can do that. Like a skill that has like a big cooldown might have a path in the tree that lets you remove the cooldown. Or if you want to, like if you're playing Paladin, there's a skill that like slams the ground with your weapon and then creates like a big area that does damage over time. You can just like, you can remove the area effect and just make it pure physical damage, or you can remove the actual slam, just make it like a magical area that you can do magic damage with, and you can try to build it like a caster and stuff like that. It has a very, very powerful system for just making cool conceptual characters. But the game still has the same issue where it's like, you don't have a lot of interesting situational choices because the classes just don't have those abilities. Like you don't really have like a big stun or something that you can take. You don't have like, at best you have like a teleport and like a shield. So the builds don't really end up being that fun. Like, that's my biggest issue with it. Otherwise, other than the game having kind of a bad vibe overall. It feels a little mobile-y, and the setting is like, it's just like time travel and shit. And time travel is kind of not that good in my opinion. But yeah. And most egregiously, the characters are just kind of ugly and unappealing. Because that's what makes Diablo 2 work. It's just that it just looks cool. It looks cool and feels cool. And then the systems are like secondary. So if you look like shit, then it has a very negative impact on the experience. Which it does, unfortunately. Oh, we are in Lumen now. We didn't hand the thing in, did we? Yeah, turn in, turn in, turn in. Alright, we made some money. We still want to go to Crystal, right? Yeah. Is there anything here for Crystal? No, but we need to hand to Candic. Hand over what you brought her. Well, isn't that nice? Candic smiles. We're actually making progress. Thank you, dearest Vagrus. Keep up the good work. Speaking of which, finally, we actually progressed this thing. That was the last thing I needed. Phase 1 is complete now, she says happily. This was phase 1, by the way. Unless it disappeared. Yeah, you had to bring her 4 silver for like all of these things. How many? It wasn't that many trips, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, you had to bring her 8 different things. Or there were 8 quests there. There were so many, I thought that this quest was like... didn't actually have a conclusion, and it was just like an infinite quest of just giving them random things. That was the last thing I needed. Phase 1 is complete now, she says happily. But there are still a lot of things to do, in fact. We've only just begun. There is a lot to explain, but not right now. Please, do come back sometime later. By then I'll be ready to tell you about the next step. Later? I have to come back later? Oh boy. Okay. Is this later? Oh, okay. Yeah, this is later. Time for sleep? Alright. Have a good night, ho-ho. Oh, you're back, the researcher says upon seeing you. Good time we talked. Please, have a seat. You look around, but can't find any place to sit amidst the utter mess that is her workshop. Candice herself settles down on a shaky pile of books. Her position is quite awkward, but she either won't admit it, or doesn't care, or more likely doesn't even notice. So, she begins, while waving Laventius closer. You no doubt wonder what all the former fuss was about, and why I needed those goods you brought me. Well, yes, they are for my expedition. I've already told you as much, but what is the expedition about? Ready for the details? You nod. Candice claps her hands with childlike glee. Wonderful, wonderful. Oh, this is so exciting. Where to begin, where to begin? With that, she faces out and stares blankly in front of her, so that Laventius has to intervene. Maybe with the location, Domina. Kendake snaps out of her trance. Ah, yes. Have you ever heard of Leviathan's demise? It is a most desolate place far to the southwest from here, over at the Plains of Bone, a nasty piece of land. It is so named after the gigantic, and I really mean gigantic, reptilian skeleton that withers there since who knows when, the Leviathan. No one knows what exactly it is and whence it came, but that is about to change. I fucked up my sleep schedule? Can you even do that with a job? did you fall asleep in the couch? Last night I got to sleep at 2 a.m. Felt like shit going up 5 a.m. Yeah, I do feel like you tend to push it quite a bit in the on the weekends, but I mean that's normal. But that does have an easy tendency to. So you want to examine the skeleton, you ask. Not merely examine, Kendake replies with glimmering eyes, and pauses for dramatic effect. But discern its very origins. Again, she pauses and smiles. For see, she smiles, I have a theory. You're sure you don't have you're sure you don't have to urge her to explain. The weekends is trying to be up as long as possible. Yeah, because sleeping brings you closer to Monday. I call it the golden theory, she continues. You probably think I do so because of its quality, and let me assure you, without being too immodest, it is golden in that sense as well. But in fact, it's got to do with what I believe to be the true nature of those remains. Candide steeples her fingers and leans back with a confident smirk. Given that she is sitting on a pile of books, this results in her almost toppling over, but somehow she manages to retain her balance and goes on as if nothing had happened. To explain, I must begin from a bit further in time. Namely the Dragon War. I'm sure you've heard about it. Is that related to the Orc War? The Orc War at Orc City? I'm sure you've heard about it, but to summarize, that was when the relatively newly arrived Dragon Lords and the Empire waged war against each other over some teeny-weeny territorial dispute. Silly brats, the lot of them. Anyhow, the Empire didn't do too well, but then one of the Dragon Lords, that boorish white one, changed sides, and with his help they managed to ambush and defeat the noblest of its brethren, the Golden Dragon. See where this is going? I love sleeping, but every Friday I fell asleep like at 10, and it kind of gets me depressed knowing soon it's Monday again. Have you picked up any new NPCs? No. I found one guy, but in Avernum, you go to the arena, and with the first time you go to the arena, there's an assassination attempt against the Prefectus. And if you intervene, you like gain his favor and you can actually talk to him. If you don't, then you can't, right? And after that, you can go and talk, because there's like a gladiator who's like sentenced to death or something like that at the arena. And if you talk to him, it's very obvious that he's a party member you can get. But he basically like tells you that you have to talk to the Prefectus to get him out of there. And because I didn't interfere with the assassination attempt, I just can't actually talk to the Prefectus. So I don't know if the game is bugged or if I need to get to like Renown 9 or something to be able to do that. So I'm just trying to do other quests now to see if I can unlock that. See if we can actually get another party member. But I think all of the other party members are probably spread out in the world. So before you do the wind quest, which I was trying to do the wind quest now, I don't think you can access them. I think you're supposed to do the wind quest like ASAP. But I actually don't know really what to do, because I don't actually have a quest. So it's just like something. But we'll see. You'd have to be a fool not to. Candace shifts around on her heap of books, looking every second as if she's going to fall. Now, it is a commonly accepted fact that the Golden One was defeated, and I'm not going to argue with that, but the strange thing is, no one seems to know what happened to his remains, or at least the mortal ones. For see, the Dragon Lords are partly beings of pure energy, imbued with the power of the arcane flame they embody, and although they manifest themselves wholly in the physical world, their bodies are mere husks they wear as garb, and can transform at will. Thus, I believe, and during my research, I found ample evidence to suggest so. That the Leviathan is what remains of the Golden One's discarded husk, and what's maybe more important, that the essence of the Dragon Lord might still linger there. She finishes with a triumphant smile, and looks at you expectantly. You ask what her plan is. Well, to prove my theory, of course, I've developed methods to examine the Leviathan on a highly sophisticated level, and that's what the more curious items I asked you to bring me are for. But to venture there and set up a research camp, I will need help from someone skilled in traversing and surviving the wasteland. You. So what do you say? Candace asks. While rocking to and fro on her pile of books involuntarily, Candace waits for you to speak. Ask her why she is so sure that the Leviathan is the Golden Dragon's skeleton. Well, what else can it be? Candace asks, with a frown, as if you've doubted the existence of the sun and the moons. It has to be. The other Dragon Lords are all accounted for. Well, maybe with the exception of the silver one, but it is said to have left the rest of them before they arrived to Zerin, and what manner of other beast could leave behind such a skeleton? Also, as I've mentioned, I found other evidence during my research, a bit complicated for persons of a non-scientific persuasion, but I assure you it is quite solid. Tell her that according to historical accounts, the Dragon Lord Pedragor was raised as an undead, so it cannot be his skeleton. Ooh, that! Candace's expression betrays dismay. Please, Vagrus, do not embarrass yourself by reciting these false beliefs. No, these are worse, Imperial propaganda. Does anyone honestly believe that they had the ability and power to raise a Dragon Lord from death? How would that even be possible when the Lords are known, by the experts, to be beings of energy, evolved way beyond the mortal coil? Interesting that this Dragon Lich has not been seen, well, ever. Our Dragon Lords, and the dragons old enough to have fought in the war, have never confirmed that this happened, and the Imperials are not to be trusted. But even if there is a part of this that isn't made up, the Golden One returned as an undead. It must have been for a brief... But even if there is a part of this that isn't made up and the Golden One returned as an undead, it must have been for a brief time. And then his remains were subsequently discarded to lie dormant on the plains of bone. That is what I will prove. Ask her why she is so interested in all of this. I am a researcher, always keen to uncover hidden knowledge and connections in our world. That would be sufficient in itself, but if you must know, I was born in the Dragonlands. I love my homeland, but I also fear for its future. In their current state, the Dragonlands are quite virile and prosperous. But some, myself among them, would say that cracks have appeared. I wouldn't go so far as to speak of disarray, but there is a certain tension, almost tangible, that has its roots in the Dragon War. Candace's gaze becomes distant again, but this time she does not lose track of her thoughts. The Golden Dragon was a mighty leader and a proponent of unity. Learning about its fate could perhaps teach us how to endure harder times, and maybe, just maybe, but no, it's too early to speak of that. She falls silent, and you can tell this is all she is going to say about this topic at this point. Maybe this leads you to the dragon area. Ask her what happens if she succeeds in proving her theory. Candace laughs heartily. Oh, you're already considering the next step. Such eagerness. I like that. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, we have an expedition to organize. You have heard enough. Very well, says Kendake and jumps to her feet. Finally, the pile of books collapses. Oh, such instability, she remarks as if noticing it for the first time. Now, as you can see, we are already neck-deep in preparations and are ready to depart for the Leviathan's demise practically any time. How about you? You are ready. You will lose 10 cargo slots while carrying her stuff. We actually have 10 cargo slots. Alright, let's just go do it. The researcher is visibly excited, and even the otherwise stoical Levantius seems to be more enthusiastic than usual. Splendid, Kendake exclaims, and even makes a little jump. Oh, this is going to be great. I can hardly wait. And thank you so much for joining us. I promise you won't regret it. My assistant and I shall be joining your comitatus shortly. And of course, we'll bring all that cargo along that you were kind enough to hoard for us. Levantius is looking at the floor with a vaguely apologetic smile. Leave Kendake and her assistant to their final preparations. Right. So... coffee. I was not supposed to sell the coffee here. Titan, sell that. Marble. Can we still sell marble in crystal? Maybe. Mushrooms are good here. Price goes to Twin Towers. Yeah, that's it. Alright, that's all that's worth buying here. I'll take a little nap. So what's the plan? Crystal, Drusian, Iosian, Leviathan's demise. Yes, because I have a bunch of guys here. I want to drop these guys off, otherwise they're just eating a bunch of food. Holy shit, that's expensive as hell. Let's see. Magic, equip the heat shielding crystal. Unequip the heat shielding crystal. Fatigued. Can I make it through today? I'm not so sure. Oh, we can. Let's see. House Darius Station. Here, you want some marble? Unfortunately, this was the last shipment they could take off your hands. The facade of the trade station of House Darius on the main square looks like a stylized fort. The Legionnaire lookalikes stand guard, but they allow you in as soon as you approach the doors. The old Centurion, still acting leader of the Darius task force, receives you in a spacious room. One wall is covered by a map of the surrounding area, and the other is covered by a strange mixture of numbers and abbreviations on a board written with chalk. It is a code or possibly shorthand. The old man looks much more relaxed than he was in the temporary camp. There is even a smile on his rough face as he greets you. A strange sight. Leave the station. Alright. That's what I hoped you could do here. Like, actually finish that. But I don't know what it does. But we can still sell the marble here. We'll buy some Flavius. Coffee. Spice not good. Spice not good. Let's talk to the magistrate. Ask the magistrate how his operation is going. What is there to operate? The magistrate's eyes become glassy for a few moments. Then he suddenly trembles for a few moments and regains his posture. Ah, the work. Yes, well, it is being done. The Septarius Alliance does good work, though our new partners are certainly becoming busy little ergs themselves, chipping away at the Flavo Calorus all day and night. Mostly night, and the numbers are... he sighs, then shakes his head. Are you really that interested in these dull things, Vagrus? Come on, leave me be with this nonsense. Ask him to aid you in the battle against the sandworms. Your previous services have made such an impression on the magistrate that he listens to your full account of what goes on around Tectum Carvos. That, or he is too inebriated to stop you. When you get to the point of mentioning Prince Kareem's plea of help, and something When you get to the point of mentioning Prince Kareem's plea of help, and something the magistrate might owe the Tarkian nobleman, your host's eyes widen, and he leaps up from his prone position. Yes, that matter, he says, waving his hand. He appears soberer than ever before. Kareem is my good friend. Oh, very good friend indeed. It would not be prudent to avoid repaying the favor he, Anyhow, I'll make the arrangements for travel right away. Now, shoo. Let me not talk about this business until we are actually there. Your work here is done. Oh, I kind of want to play Temple of Elemental Evil a little bit, but not really. Like, it's a game that I have always wanted to play, but never gotten to. I tried playing it once, but didn't really manage to get anywhere in it. But what kind of game is it? It's just the D&D game. It's like Baldur's Gate. But I don't know if you've ever seen or played Icewind Dale, because it's like Icewind Dale. You make a pre-made party of characters, and then it's like just a D&D game. So the issue I have a little bit there is that you just end up with, like, Icewind Dale is pretty... I actually don't mind Icewind Dale. It's pretty decent. But the problem is that because you have just pre-made characters, you don't get any, like, character interactions or anything like that in the game. Or character stories, it's just, like, your party, and then you go and, like, fight stuff, right? It's very, very combat focused compared to Baldur's Gate or whatever, which is still pretty combat focused, but... And Temple of Elemental Evil is one of those games that always used to be praised as like the best RPG. But I know it's like super buggy. It's also D&D, which I don't really like that much, because D&D is just like buffing galore, and you just buff constantly. I'm thinking of finishing Tides of Numenera. I actually want to replay it. I've literally finished it like 4 times, and I can't think of like a new thing for the playthrough. Like there's just one character I haven't played, but I don't really wanna. But I guess we could try the last character. And then maybe just like lock in on trying one of the other paths for the tides. But it's just there are so few characters in the game. It's really hard to like justify replaying it for that, but because if you play it twice, you've used all the characters already. Almost. Maybe. We'll see. Maybe. I played Tyranny. I guess that could be an option too. I don't know. I've never finished it. I do have a bunch of RPGs that I could play, but I just don't know. I don't know. I'm just worried that they're gonna be bad. I like the first pillars. I also like the first pillars. Like mostly. I think it's a decent game. I think it's one of the better CRPGs, but I think it's also one of the worst better ones. If that makes sense. I like a lot of stuff about it, but you can definitely tell that the game is like a Kickstarter game, because it just ends like halfway through. I feel like the story just starts going and then it's over. That's why I don't like. That's what I don't like about it. But otherwise, I think the actual like characters and the overall writing is like on point. Like it's really good. It's as good as it is in like Baldur's Gate 2 or something. No, I haven't played Encased. Encased is one of those that I should play. We have Encased. We have Game Deck. But I have strong doubts about Game Deck. I also have Shadowrun, all the Shadowrun games, Wasteland. But Wasteland 3 has a bunch of meme stuff in it. I really like In Exile, so that's why I want to play it. Because In Exile are the developers of It's a Numenera. But I think Tides of Numenera is their only good game. So I don't know if I like the studio. I also want to try these games, Avernum, Abaddon. I also have Gene Forge, but these games are like these are like super budget games, so I don't know, man. I don't know. Because these type of games, I feel like you can look at them and be like, oh, like, you know, well, it looks like shit, but hey, maybe the gameplay is good, or maybe the story is like pretty good anyway. But it's usually like at this on par with the quality of the art. That's how I feel. Abaddon, I think it's the same developer even. I'm not sure. Yeah. I usually feel like those things kind of go hand in hand, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, I do have a bunch of games here that I've been meaning to. Atom RPG as well. This a game maybe? I don't think so. What about Silver? I did install it. I played it a little bit. I don't think I would. The thing is, I don't think I would actually enjoy playing through this game, because I don't think it's actually a good game, but it could be funny to replay it because it's so old and janky. It could be fun, but I don't know. I'd have to be in like a good enough mood to be able to play a shitty game for the lulz. I liked Atom, but it's budget Fallout. Yeah, that's what I've been told, pretty much. I don't really want to play any game, and we also have Expeditions, right? But I don't have like a good feel for like what this game would be, because like Expeditions Rome, to me that feels like it's like it doesn't have like a story. You know, it feels like Total War or something. Like it's just a game with Romans or something. So I'm like, okay. But I guess it's just like an actual story game. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see what we figure out. So we're done here, right? We take a nap in here. Whip the shit out of our slaves, as you do. Good night's nap. I'm just worried that the games are just not gonna be good, and then I'll be annoyed. That's honestly the biggest hurdle. Because most of those games are kind of like low quality games to some degree. It's, you know, it's... They all have kind of not like great reviews, and so they might be like, they might be kind of, they might be all right, but I don't know if kind of all right is good enough. Let's head to Fort Viridium. But I have been watching some very nice Chinese TV shows recently, and that always lifts my spirits. So maybe we can find some time to play some games soon, some other games. It's hard to find fun games, as it is, and I'm just so picky. Like, for me, it's even harder. Like I have a really hard time. They should make more Chinese games. Chinese TV shows, Chinese games. That's where it's at. But unfortunately, like, Chinese studios are still terrible. So what are we doing here? Supplies. Buy some obsidian while we're here, perhaps. They don't want to buy anything here, unfortunately. Did you finish the Might and Magic series? No. I don't even like Might. I don't want to play more Might and Magic ever. I don't think they're good. And like, before I had managed to get through all of those 3 games, I started getting like people leaving angry comments on my YouTube videos that were like, if you don't like the games, then don't play them. And I'm like, yeah, I guess so. Because they're just not good games. They're just not. But holy fuck, 6 rep for selling gadgets? God damn. I have 5. Again, the renown. Fuck yes. Because Might and Magic, if we're talking about like Might and Magic and not Heroes of Might and Magic, the issue is that they're like, they don't have a good combat system. You just go around spam clicking everything in like non-turn-based mode and just like it just spamming spells. It doesn't have like actual real storylines or anything. Like all the stories are just jokes. Like they're poorly written on purpose because they want them to just be like fun. And then towards the end of the game, the games are always the same. You just go and fight the evil aliens, and then you find the Star Trek reference pyramid, and then you find the Star Trek phasers, and then you use the Star Trek phasers, or you like unlock them by typing in like Kirk and Spock backwards and shit. Like it's just I just want like I have to have actual effort put into something like that to be able to enjoy it at all. Right? Because if it's just like memes, then why would I care? Right? It's the same thing in like No Man's Sky. Like I want to enjoy playing No Man's Sky, but why would I care about like unearthing like a bunch of lore stuff if the entire world is like unserious and it's like there's no point to learning the lore of the world because the world isn't designed and made with care and like a purpose. Like it's just like Disney, like a Disney World or something. Like I don't know. That's the issue with Might and Magic. And Wizardry was the same, unfortunately. Like I did want to play more Wizardry, kind of, but at the end of Wizardry, you fight like literally a guy named like Dracula or whatever, and then you fight like another guy who's like a meme, like a dinosaur reference to some like what am I doing? That's the problem. All right. Well, I didn't really have anything to do here, so let's just head out. Okay, it has to be over there. Oh no! Chakra Horde? Oh, that might mean a bunch of food. Defend beasts. They do attack slaves too, I believe. Concentrate defense, bushwhack. But losing some slaves is fine, as opposed to losing horses. Oh, didn't lose anything. And you got 790 supplies. Hell yeah. We're gonna have to throw away most of this. Yeah. Throw away supplies. More supplies. I guess we can rest. And then we can eat up some supplies. We can eat... Actually, we eat 200%. Then everybody will be happy and we can just grab some more. Yeah, perfect. We'll still have to delete a bit there. All right. Visit the quartermaster. Sell him coffee. All right. Ask the priests of Ashkul for a blessing. Bless me for coin. Blessing of Ashkul. Okay, we're double blessed. But you couldn't get the good blessing here. Which is a little sad. Also, I shouldn't have blessed myself today. We should have blessed after resting. But the blessings aren't that good, so it doesn't really matter. Take the Skortar commission, sure. We have supplies for 9 days, which is kind of bad. Oh, here, we can buy more. Okay. They don't want anything here. What's the spice price like here? 56. As for Twin Towers, it's 71. It's really good there. Oh, fuck! That explains it. That's why everybody's so happy. Because we're eating double. No wonder. But sure, we'll eat 50% for a while then. Make up for it. Ten insight. Oh, we have 7 renown. Holy shit. Gained a lot very fast. So we only need 2 more to maybe be able to talk to the guy. So yeah, all we need to do is just finish some quests. Maybe do some bounties or something. Legends speak of the Cyclopean, vaguely draconic beast's remains that lie at the heart of the grim plains of bone, untouched by time and undisturbed by scavengers. Yet seeing the mountain-sized skeleton with one's own eyes is awe and fear inspiring beyond what is imaginable. The gods were right to strike down such a creature, for its wings would send hurricanes across the land, and its steps would summon earthquakes. Perhaps they were jealous of such might. Beneath the Leviathan. It takes long, cumbersome hours after you first spot its nightmarish visage on the horizon that the Comitatus reaches the Leviathan. It appears huge to begin with, but keeps on growing as you come closer until it almost completely fills your field of view. You are mere specks of dirt in its mighty shadow. Candake, who has spent most of the journey half dozing under her parasol, only becomes active during the evenings, which she usually spent with reading scrolls and research notes, now becoming agitated beyond measure. She actually wants to ride forward post-haste, so you almost have to have her restrained. The Leviathan defies belief with its spire-like ribs, an enormous skull the size of a building. Seeing it, you begin to give credit to Candake's theory of it being the remains of one of the mightiest dragons ever to roam Zarin. Slowly, the Comitatus meanders into the dusk-like shade cast by the skeleton, then finally stops. You have arrived. Dragon. You walk up to Candake with your crew, while your crew begins to unload the expedition's gear and set up camp under the watchful eyes of Lavantius. The researcher stands in motionless awe before the mega-fossil, her expression one of utter amazement, her lips trembling wordlessly. You feel almost profane for disturbing her. "Just look at it," she stammers after some time. "Such grandeur, such divinity. Oh, that I am allowed to finally cast my eyes upon it." You ask her what happens next. We begin work, of course, as quickly as possible. As soon as the camp and the equipment is set up, I will start to make measurements, take samples, verify certain hypotheses of mine. It shouldn't be too long before I can conduct a first rough experiment, which then shall serve as a basis for all others to follow. Oh, friend Vagrus, I can't wait. Ask her if she's not afraid of the notorious Skortar that swarm these plains. Candake gives you a happy grin. Can't say that I am. See, they don't come here. The plains might be swarming with them, but apparently something about the Leviathan keeps them away. Most likely the lingering presence of the Golden One, if my assumption is right. She closes her eyes and inhales deeply. And there certainly seems to be something here. Can you feel it? She then mentions it. Now that she mentions it, you notice a slight dizziness in yourself. Something not necessarily caused by the desert sun, but maybe it's just fatigue. Leave her to her work. Candake nods, smiling. Thank you for bringing us here, and for your help so far, Vagrus, she says. Lavantius will hand you your payment, and I know you have other plans and obligations, but I'd be delighted if you could stick around, or maybe just check on us once in a while. In any case, I outright insist that you join me as an observer for the first experiment. There will be wonders to behold, I am sure of that. The assistant hands you a few silver coins discreetly. Candake's research site, which she took to calling Camp Colossus, is a sight to behold. Tents huddle in the shadow of the enormous skeleton, parts of which are now accessible via complex scaffolding. A winding ramp and a series of rope ladders lead up to a wide platform directly on the Leviathan's head, at eye level, one could say. Rows and rows of workbenches strewn with various raw materials, and samples stand in a large half-open tent, and close to the main cratch. Close to the main cratch, you see pieces of strange machinery consisting of pipes, cogwheels, pulleys, levers, and alembics. Part of them are engraved with uncanny runes. You find both Candake and Lavantius busy at work. Take a closer look at the Leviathan. You look up to the dark, hollow eye sockets of the enormous skull. The emptiness seemed to mesmerize you. What mysteries do you keep? You mutter to yourself unwillingly, almost as if someone or something made you wonder and utter these words. A little sorcerous perception might disclose something of importance. As the fumes of magic divination shift and swirl, you begin to see the Leviathan with slightly different eyes. Its silhouette and the desert around it wavers, expands, and is suddenly imbued with a cavalcade of colors, almost as if you are spying formerly hidden layers of reality, or maybe looking into ages long past. Or is that the future? Yes, maybe even several possible versions of it. Then you find yourself staring into two flaming eyes. You feel stunned and helpless before them. You know that they know you, see into your very soul. Is it time already? What? Who spoke? The magic fades, and you realize you're still in the plains of bone, standing in the shadows of Leviathan. It would probably be better not to mess around with sorcery in such a place. Maybe your studies in the arcane arts could be of help here. One thing's for certain. Such a draconic beast might only have walked Zerrin during the arrival of the Dragon Lords, or even earlier, when their broods were abundant and their magic the source of legends. Yet as much as you try, you simply cannot remember any mentions of a creature that perished here. Whatever it was, tremendous arcane power was required to make it plausible. But there is something else. As you examine the Leviathan, you get a faint sense that you are missing something. Some kind of a hidden clue, something you haven't paid attention to, something nagging at the edge of your consciousness, almost like a presence. Dead yet still lingering. You shake your head. No, these aren't your thoughts. Just something brought about by the unnatural atmosphere and loneliness of this place. You take a few breaths and they disappear. Okay. Ask Candake how her first experiment is going. Candake finishes jotting down a line of some obscure calculations on an absurdly long piece of parchment, then turns to you, eyes gleaming with excitement. Just great, she exclaims. In fact, I am just about to begin. So nice of you to attend. You have to see this, Laventius. Are we ready? We are, Domina, comes the assistant's shouted answer from the top of the scaffold. Candake grabs you by the arm and pulls you along while you ask her what she intends to do now, as she leads you up the ramp. I was just getting to that, Candake replies. Remember when I told you back in Lumen how I believe that the Golden One's essence still lingers around this place? She asks. Well, I intend to establish contact with it, maybe even manage some form of communication. See, a lot of my research went towards developing a method to identify and match the waves of pure otherworldly energy, commonly referred to as the Flame, the primordial force inherent to all dragonkind, even the lesser ones of them and the related species. If there is such a residue here, and I strongly assume there is, my arcane apparatus shall find it, filter it from other forms of energy, and find the link to it. And in case it turns out it is somehow conscious. But first things first, I'm getting ahead of myself. Look. Meanwhile, you have arrived at the top of the scaffold where Laventius is tinkering with a huge, weird-looking apparatus, making final adjustments. The platform the three of you are standing on is inside the massive skull of the Leviathan. Black, empty space yawns at you like an entrance leading to some wondrous underworld. The main features of the apparatus are two enormous horns of some monster or animal, one pointed towards the platform, the other towards the skull's inner dome. Both of them hollowed out so they resemble the speaking tubes imperial orators and military leaders sometimes use to address large crowds. The horns are engraved with runes, and flexible pipes wrought from animal intestines connect them to transparent receptacles on stoves, their strange-hued liquid content bubbling just slightly below boiling point. Fumes of colorful smoke engulf the platform. To your layman's eyes, it all looks very impromptu, but you'll have to assume Candake knows what she's doing. I think we can begin, she whispers in awe. But before she does, Candake tends to some final preparations. Laventius hands her a robe adorned with scales and a ritual mask fashioned from the skull of some reptilian animal. Maybe a Krowag? She dons both and grabs a staff carved from dragonbone, then positions herself in front of the contraption. Laventius wordlessly signals you to keep your distance. You wonder if he is as confident in the experiment's success as his mistress. You'd be surprised. Candake begins to chant in a strange, scratchy... Candake begins to chant in a strange, scratchy, at times almost hissing voice, vocalizing alternately by pushing out and sucking in breath. The horn in front of her face picks up and amplifies the sound, causing a surreal echo to reverberate from the skull's interior. Levantius turns some valves on the receptacles, and as a result, the liquid inside of them begins to boil, emitting fumes of polychromatic steam into the tubes leading to the speaking tubes. You watch as the experiment, or is it rather a ritual, unfolds. Kandake's chanting rises and becomes more high-pitched as whiffs of steam coil from the wide end of the speaking tube. You realize that the platform is trembling slightly. A quick side glance at Levantius reveals him furrowing his brows. Kandake goes on undeterred. And then the other speaking tube begins to spew smoke. It has a metallic, ethereal shine to it. You're not entirely sure, but it seems as if tiny dots of golden light dance in its strands. You feel dizzy and can't tell anymore if it's the platform shaking or your legs. Finally. You could swear the voice, a mighty deep yet mellow one, is inside your head, but looking at the astonished faces of Kandake and Levantius, you can tell they hear it too. But no, not yet. Too narrow, incomplete. Children, you must. Without a warning, there is a shattering sound as the speaking tubes and the receptacles explode to pieces in a violent burst. The three of you fall to your knees, instinctively shielding your faces with your arms. The scaffolding underneath you heaves and moans. No! Screams Kandake, instantly on her feet, trying to hurl herself at the remains of her apparatus, but Levantius is just as quick and holds her back. Watch out, Domina! The fumes! The three of you back off from the platform. As you retreat, you think you can hear a distant fading moan. A few hours later, after safely descending the scaffolding, the three of you sit in Kandake's tent. She is sipping wine while Levantius tends to the superficial wounds that the shrapnel of the exploding apparatus inflicted on her arms. The researcher is equally frustrated and enthusiastic. There was a connection, she says defiantly. You felt, no, heard it too. We did, Domina, Levantius admit. But as to the nature of it, we cannot be sure if... Hush now, assistant, Kandake says quickly. This is promising, although it bugs me that the equipment got ruined. And so quickly. My calibrations couldn't have been that off. And what did it try to tell us? Then she turns to you. I must figure this out. Listen, dear friend, I might need your help again. Not right now, for I must do some research again. But come back in, let's say 2 weeks or so. By then I should know how to proceed. Would you do that? For now I won't bother you longer. I'm sure you have other matters to attend to. Fuck! Alright, well. What now? Go kill some Skortar. Then just go down to the Twin Towers randomly, I guess. Yeah. In the pitch darkness of pre-dawn, you are awoken by a guard shaking you. Attackers! Outlaws, Vagrus! You rise like you have been doused with a bucket of cold water. A bucket full of cold water. The guards are cowering behind rocks. No more than 50 steps distant, several dark shapes are moving at the edge of the camp. You spring into action and are met by a cold voice. Tell your men to throw down their arms if you value the lives of your crew, Vagrus. Give us the cart furthest away from the fire, and we shall not rain a cloud of arrows upon your pitiful camp. Call back your sentries. Do it now. Laugh at the attempt to make you cower. Order your warriors to charge. Let the blood flow. The sudden berserk charge surprises your attackers. The rain of arrows they spoke of does not come to fruition. Slingshots are fired instead, and not with the accuracy one would come to expect of more competent attackers. Do they hit anything at all? The raiders must have been very confident in their acting abilities, because they can't shoot for facts. Your companions and guards are on them. In 2 heartbeats. This will be a massacre. 43. Charge is bonus damage. Yeah, let's just charge. Fuck them. We charge, and yeah, that's it. Blep. Ten supplies. The raiders are gone, for better or worse. Their casualties are many, and judging from their meager possessions, it is no wonder they were so desperate. They died as they lived, with no good cause. Okay, so this is where we want to go. Let's head down here somewhere. The necromancer with the skeleton tattoo was right. It is easy to find bloodthirsty packs of cursed abominations in this area. Now you have to earn the commission. You set up your comitatus. Really? What the fuck? This is so weak. Charge! Flip. The bodies of dead Skortar lay around your comitatus. Your men already started to cut off their pincers. You did your part in making this region safer, for now. You leave their meat untouched. Eating cannibals is surely a bad idea, right? Most likely. Okay, so then we just go back to Iosian Quarry, I think. Oh, I can go there. Find the office of the necromancer who gave you the task of hunting Skortar. First, you have to cart the pieces of dead Skortar to a side door, where you receive a seal for them. The labyrinthine insides of the morgue are not better navigable than the last time, but you have some experience now at least. You find the door with the Skortar pincer nailed on it, and enter. The beefy necromancer is delighted to see you. He gives you the bounty in exchange for the seal, and tells you that the majority of the roving Skortar bands have been cleaned up in the last few days. The normal commercial activity of the quarry can now restart. Groups of Okwo harvesters are going out in the Plain of Bones and gathering the remains of the dead for industrial reprocessing. I'll let them know that you helped. Also visit the Bone Garden and find Necromancer Operator Lucius Herculius if you're interested in more work. He needs help in retrieving a special skeleton which pays much more than the standard price. Plus 30 House Okwo, holy shit. Look for the Necromancer Operator Lucius Herculius. He supposedly has an assignment. A slave leads you down to the Chamber of Strange and Unaccountable Demises. It is a large hall deep within the heart of the Bone Garden, with a quaint little hut in the middle. There are dozens of skeletons around the room, all of them unusual or altered. Most of them you do not recognize. There are even giant bats and half a dragon in the air, held together and up by sturdy vines. An ancient-looking fellow is busy inspecting a skeleton at the back of the hall. Greet Necromancer Operator Lucius Herculius. He is old enough to almost look like a zombie already, and at least 2 of his limbs were not originally his. He talks very fast and is much more excited by your appearance than he has any reason to be. Oh, I get so few visitors nowadays, so I'm happy to show you around. These specimens are fascinating, aren't they? You try to be courteous and agree. In the next 2 hours, you get a comprehensive tour of his eerie boneyard, supplemented by personal accounts regarding each monster and tainted humanoid skeleton there. He also animates these for your entertainment briefly, without any visible effort, just with a flick of his fingers. After receiving a lecture on anatomy and basic necromancy, you turn his interests on the actual cause of your visit. Yes, there is a very interesting skeleton I would like you to get, he confides with a ghoulish smile. At last, you might be able to proceed. If there were more like if there was an entire genre out there of just RPGs that were just this, like only text, I would go hard for that. But that doesn't exist. Like, it's Road Warden and like maybe something like that. But I don't know if like any games like this other than Road Warden. To be perfectly frank. Like text-based RPG, because it's like if you go text-based and RPG, it's gonna be weeb shit. Oh, Suzerain is on sale. Should I buy this? I don't know. Maybe. Or it's just like a PDF file. Brand is pretty dope. I have looked at that a couple of times, so just never really felt like going for it. But I also feel like this kind of game is like, if the writing is bad, then there's no point in playing the game. And how many of them are actually well written? Pentiment, yeah, I did look at Pentiment ages ago when it came out, but I just found the aesthetics unappealing, so I just didn't go in for it. But maybe it's good if I start playing it. Top rated. Suzerain, Bitburner. This does not feel like it's something that's for me. Programming based incremental game. That's not at all. This is some weeb shit. Not interested. Wait, why does this say free to play? Oh, it's chapter 1 and 2? Oh, is this like a demo? Maybe. Sure, I guess if it's free, we can actually just try it and see if it's worth it. Why not? And it's on sale right now. How long is it on sale? For a week. All right, well, sure. Let's try that sometime this week. Nah. It has a lot of reviews, honestly. But I don't know, man. $2K reviews. I also like text-based games, but I just need them to be actually good. That's the issue. I really like the idea of like a choose your own adventure game. Is that a genre? Instead of just text-based? Because this is just like idle games. Dungeon crawler. Developed by Monomyth. How do I recognize that? Hmm. Dungeon crawling. Nah, that like anything that says dungeon crawling is not something I want. The Dark Egg. Paper Bride. See if we can get some. Time to get some sleeps? Alright. Take care, dude. Hope you get some sleeps, man. Deep romance. Alright, let's see how many of these are RPG Maker games. Yeah, no, this is too much. More game-like, yeah. Yeah, we only got Road Warden, Sir Brant, 80 days. What is that? This does not look... Suzerain, we already looked at that. Citizen Sleeper, do I have that? I have seen that before. Wait, huh? Oh, I've ignored them. At some point, for some reason. Sorcery. Sorcery parts 1 and 2. Maybe. 6 Ages, we already looked at that. Silicon Dreams. Long Live the Queen. I don't think we need to look at that one. That's the weeb one, right? Yeah. Why do I own this game? Like, what? What? Oh? Why do I own this game and why have I written a review? It's a negative meme review. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Alright, let's continue here. At last, you might be able to proceed. The esteemed necromancer tells you that before the arrival of the Skortar infestation, one of his personal couriers found fascinating remains out in the plains of Bone, most possibly of a manticore. She flagged it but was unable to retrieve it due to a Skortar raid. Opiter glances lovingly at a female skeleton nearby, dressed in Ashkalite robes. You understand what he implies. The necromancer gives you a more or less exact position where you can find the skeleton and would have you deliver it to him. He will pay you in silver. The location is several days of travel due west of the Iosian. Could you do that? Not for me, but for the progress of science and magic. You help the Order of the Necromancers, and you help the cause of man, nay, the Empire. His eyes are lit with a mad fervor. Accept his commission. He prances around happily as you leave. Sure. Several days. I guess it is several days, actually. Oh. Ghouls. Holy shit, they do tons of damage. What the fuck? So what do ghouls go for? They just go for everything, I assume. Makeshift barricade. It's flat defense. I don't really understand. This does grit damage, but they're ghouls, so they have no grit. Hold the ranks, grit damage, morale loss, eliminate leaders, grit damage, hold them off, grit damage, plus 33. So what's the difference between cull the ranks and eliminate the leaders? Oh, it's who you target. Okay, fair. But there are no leaders here, it's just a bunch of ghouls. So, let's see. Yeah, that's it. It just depends. It just changes who you target. Yeah, let's do color ranks. My dudes should be pretty strong now. We should be able to do something here. Ooh. Ooh. He has 2 HP, he has some dots on him. Let's target other dudes. Ghoul Elite. These guys love evading. Ah! And they have an extra turn. Ah, he's down. No, he's still up. Vagrus is so bad. He can attack twice and then he can't do anything for like 4 rounds. Alright. We are gonna take a lot of... Oh, they are fleeing. I didn't know they could. They're retreating. Born Killers. Beast. Pursue. Ouch! God damn. Yeah, I lost a bunch of fighters. What the fuck? Really? Well, alright. We need to take it easy for a day or so. So I don't have that much food, but... Actually, I don't think we can do this right now. Like, we're fatigued. Everything is fucked. I feel like we have to go back to Torzag and just recuperate. Buy more supplies. They only have 4 days of supplies, and then when we get back here, there's gonna be 0 supplies to buy here. 16. And nothing there. So... Here's the question. Drusian is the cheapest place for obsidian. But we can buy at Vagrus. Because Drusian means we have to go there, and I don't want to go there. Vagrus is on the way. So I feel that makes a lot more sense. This guy wants to go to Twin Towers. Sure. What about Ivory? 6. Ivory is better. But not by a lot. It's pretty bad. Could have taken a quest. I haven't done those in so long, I keep forgetting that they even exist. Need to just keep pushing. So let's see. The bone prices here are worse than I was led to believe. Ivory also sucks. So let's see, I need one more fighter, and we need some scouts. Was I supposed to go back to Vigilus Tower here? I think so. Let's rest, save, and then go in and try. Then we head back to Torzag and see if we can finally finish that silly quest. Who are you and what business brings you to the Vigilus Tower? Tell them you are here on behalf of the Justiciar Maximus regarding the outlaws. The Decurion snorts, so they finally found someone to do the dirty work. About time. You are told to abandon your weapons and enter the tower alone while your companions linger outside under the watchful eyes of the elite legionnaires. The Centurion Prime is a very busy man. The Decurion discloses sternly as he leads you inside the tower and up several long winding staircases. You will not waste his time. State your business, ask what you must, then be on your way. Understood? You nod. Everything about the tower's interior and the soldiers garrisoned within suggests an unrelenting rigidness. These aren't the undisciplined motley legionnaires of some dirty, irrelevant outpost, but the elite forces of the Empire. Unsmiling, precise, sharp, and professional. So is their leader. I am Centurion Prime, Dogo Actius. The mountain of a man tells you without any formal greeting as you are ushered into his sparsely furnished command chamber. I gather you are here to do something about those abolitionist brigands. What parameters did the Justiciar Maximus divulge to you? You assumed he would tell you. Actius doesn't move a muscle, but you can tell he is not content. How typical, he says. But that can't be helped, so let's get over with it. What do you need to know to accomplish your mission? Who exactly are these people? One would assume she told you at least that much. Not in detail, you begin, but a single glance from Actius makes you fall silent. This is a man not used to being interrupted. After a moment of cold silence, he continues. We are dealing with former slaves here, escaped ones. Now the Empire is unfortunately quite brimming with those as of late, but mostly they are no cause for concern. Until they gather en masse, that is, which seems to be the case here. These specific loathsome individuals have formed something they call a tribe, if you can believe it. But naturally, they are nothing more than a common band of outlaws. In order to survive, they harass travelers, merchants, comitati, and even imperial troops. They managed to grow from an insignificant nuisance into a threat to be reckoned with. My scouts tell me they even have a banner or insignia of sorts, a broken legionnaire's helmet, dangling from a chain, no doubt a symbol of their former and rightful shackles. That is all I can disclose to you about their nature. Was there anything else you needed to hear from me? What can you expect from them? What inane question is that? I assumed you volunteered for this mission because you knew what you were doing. They are a disorganized, untrained, desperate mob. If you can't imagine how to deal with them, you've clearly chosen the wrong assignment. Now, is there anything else you want to waste my time with? Yeah, sure. Where can I find them? That is not so easy to tell. As you can imagine, a rabble such as this moves around quite a lot. But in general, you should head south from the Vigilus Tower. According to reports, they work their mischief somewhere in the region exactly between Tarathian's Fall and the Plains of Bone. By their accursed symbol, the broken helmet, they might be identified. This is the best indication I can give. There is a pause and Actius rises from his table. Then we are done here, Actius says. Go now and do the Empire's work. I hope you prove worthy. After you are finished, don't bother coming back here. Return to the Justiciar Maximus straight away. Dismissed. We leave. Okie dokie. Alright, what can we sell here? Ceruleus Crystal. Actually, I looked at the wrong price. Whoops. Bone. Ivory. That was barely worth it. Barely, 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 barely. Flavo Crystal. Alright, are there any missions? Supply run to Karnak? Twin Towers? Twin Towers. And what should we buy for there? Let's see. Hides are worth almost 3 each. Hides spice tin. Something like that. Let's find a buyer for the Dragonstones. Yeah, still didn't find one. Let's see. Temple District. Civic. The Gardens. Herbalist. Here. This is where you buy supplies, because she's like the cheapest one in the game. There, we have 90 medical supplies. Sell some spice. Oh, yeah, you can have some spice. Collect some slime grass. Right, we can continue this. Report to her about your first foray into the sunken tower. When Tertia hears of your success in delving into the sunken tower, she becomes very excited and has you recount the venture in excruciating detail. After your detailed report, she can barely contain her enthusiasm. For a moment, you think that she might hug you. Magnificently done, Vagrus, she laughs happily. I don't know if you realize that your expedition will go down in history, at least if we can do something about it. A true pioneer, that's what you are. Luckily for us, I also have been busy, and I finally managed to get my hands on a volume I had been hunting for a long time. Tertia picks up a thick, ancient-looking book from her desk and hands it to you. A 400-year-old copy of a codex from before the calamity, she whispers in a conspiratorial voice, mainly religious in nature. It describes, among many other places, the Tower of Acarius, since it was founded by an apostle of the Third Age, and it was in part a place of worship. She turns the old dry pages to a marked paragraph. On the left, a stylized illustration of the tower shows a tall, spike-like wonder of marble, steeped in a golden magical aura. Hold on, just double-checking something. Yeah, okay. Where were we? Something about an aura. Okay. Tertia picks up a thick, ancient-looking book from her desk and hands it to you. A 400-year-old copy of a codex from before the calamity, she whispers in a conspiratorial voice. Mainly religious in nature, it describes, among many other places, the Tower of Acarius, since it was founded by an apostle of the Third Age, and it was in part a place of worship. She turns the old dry pages to a marked paragraph. On the left, a stylized illustration of the tower shows a tall, spike-like wonder of marble, steeped in a golden magical aura, with smaller marble buildings and gardens around its base. A far cry from what you saw. The paragraph is a thinly veiled propaganda piece on the renowned crystal archives of the tower. This is the part of the ruins you need to find. Tertia thumps the page with her index finger. Everything we need will be there. Now, based on your account, this section is certainly sealed off, so do us a favor and find a way in, eh? I cannot think of anyone better suited for the task. Come back to me when you unseal it and we can discuss what we need from there. Best of luck, Vagrus. The Crystal Archives await. Ask her about finding a way into the Crystal Archives. The Crystal Archives were one of the fabled sections of the Tower of Icarius, now buried and lost under the cruel Arenas Vorax. Tertia takes on a lecturing tone. Crystalmancy in the tower was so advanced that the place certainly has everything we need to finish working on our device. Based on what you have found, you won't be able to just wander in. However, as the section is sealed with powerful ancient magic, there must be a way to unseal it though. And it has to be in the tower itself, since its old inhabitants raised the barriers when the calamity struck. You will have to brave the halls and chambers of the sunken tower to find a way to get inside the Crystal Archives. Ask her about the task to breach the Star Garden. Tertia considers your account of the spirit of Preceptor Lilithiasen and the task she impressed upon you. That is a risky venture, if I may say so, she says with some difficulty. Don't get me wrong, allying with the spirit seems to be the only apparent way to unlock the Crystal Archives. But the Star Garden? Well, I'd be curious to see it, just as you certainly are, but I'd be wary of your position, Vagrus. You know what these spirits are who knows what these spirits are up to? 1,000 years of such a half-existence is enough to make any mind insane, no matter how sharp. Tread with care, I say. There is no telling what truly happened to that place and what peril keeps the other spirits sealed there. Okay. Try to find out more about the wind situation. It's the same thing there. There's nothing. Report that no Sadirar plague the Drusian quarry any longer. Congratulations, Vagrus. You have averted a catastrophe, if what I heard is correct. House Okwo are grateful to you, as are citizens of the Empire. She turns around and speaks louder so that everyone in the hall hears. We must strive against barbarism and savage intruders, guide our vengeance towards them. In Sergorod's name, in the Emperor's name. She motions to a temple slave who hands you your reward without looking you in the eye. You are also sure this whole matter will put you in favor of the church. 20 brass and 25 church. Present outlaw trophies to the master. I have one. Okay. No, apparently I have 4. That is all we can do. Apparently I have a crime. What do you mean? Oof. Like, I hate this. This pisses me off so much. Why? What crime did I commit? Why did it cost me 20 brass? I haven't done a single crime. Like, I'm literally not committing any crimes. So why is it costing me 20 brass? Why is it constantly increasing? It's so stupid. Like, it's genuinely stupid. I don't want to hand in spectral dust. Civic District Market. No. Can buy some hides, I guess. Look for Gravan. Sure, let's do this. Against all expectations, Stonecutter Square does not have any stoneworkers or sculptors anymore, though it reputedly got its name from dwarven craftsmen who used to dwell here long ago. These days it is packed with small shops, jewelers, spice merchants, toy makers, clothes shops, and much more. The corpulent merchant called Gravan is prattling about his wares to passers-by in front of his shop, a small but tidy store where you can buy shoes and perfume. Ask Gravan about the bounty on Mavero. Interested in the bounty, eh? The merchant's relaxed features twisting to a frown upon the mentioning of Mavero. I and my merchant associates put together this respectable sum, and placed it as a bounty on the head of that rascal. Mavero is called the Sly for a good reason, you see. He used to run all kinds of scams around here. What's worse, he had a thing for merchants' wives. Needless to say, it was when he stole from us that we decided to take matters to the law. The bastard convinced us through our wives to lend money to him for a business venture. Naturally, Mavero has subsequently disappeared, and we have neither the time nor the means to find him. Neither do the Sargorodites, apparently, so we decided to hire hunters, with the blessing of the law. 2 bras for professionals who get Mavero dead or alive. 2 bras? That doesn't even cover a half a day of traveling. You ask him if he has any leads. You can investigate, seeing how he and his associates knew the man well. He fiddles with the trimming of his richly decorated blue robes as he answers. I recall that whenever he had coins to spare, he used to visit the tavern over at the Civic. The Dragon's Nest, perhaps they know where he could be hiding, but I doubt that. But he has a sort of a cohort. Name's Kaluk, an ashman. Runs with some gang of misfits out of the gardens, also in the Civic. And perhaps you could ask the authorities as well. They may have come up with something but forgot to tell us. Again, doubt it, but who knows. You consider these options as Gravan flashes a wide smile. Get the knave here, or his head as proof, and the silver is yours. Look. Ask around for knowledge or news about Mavero the Sly. Everyone, from the bartender to the serving wenches and the bouncers, seems to flinch at the mention of the grifter's name. Most of them swear and recount some sad or upsetting anecdotes about Mavero, but have no idea where he might be. Or perhaps you're not asking the right questions, giving the right kinds of encouragement. Bribes. Okay, it's basically free. One of the clients, a local storyteller and self-proclaimed bard who recites bad poetry, opens up finally, sharing some interesting tidbits about Mavero. It seems he frequents this establishment only when a large amount of money comes his way, which he subsequently spends in one night here. He's a bully, a boast, and a drunkard. His last visit here also involved a lot of booze and debauchery, for which he forked out quite a lot of coins. The lowlife then got so drunk that he could only get home with help. He hired a sedan chair. Luckily, several people know the man who runs the sedan business around the corner. It requires a little convincing, but he eventually tells you where Mavero lives in the Undercity, if only because the grifter hit his slaves and vomited into one of his sedan chairs. Perhaps you can visit Mavero's kip. Maybe? Where is it? Go to Mavero's kip. Mavero's place is an abandoned-looking, dilapidated building in one of the saddest, poorest slums of the Undercity. Anyone can go inside, but nobody does, and you can see why. Anything that was worth taking has already been taken from his one-level stone building. Only dust and rubble can be found in the 3 small rooms. Take a look around. No matter how well you search the place, you can't find anything but dirt here. Spiders, cockroaches, and centipedes have already begun to take over the building. Windows are barred, and the smell of rot lingers. It is very quiet, with nobody living in neighboring houses either. You soon give up and turn to leave. Well, that was useless. Find Mavero's pal, Kaluk. The skinny fellow in dirty rags, called Kaluk, is an ashman, or used to be one before ending up in this shelter and joining the homeless junkies holed up in the gardens. Crumpled up on a stinking pellet under an awning attached to a crumbling gazebo. He cares for nothing, and nobody cares for him. Getting him to talk comprehensively is a challenge in itself, but when you mention Mavero, Callux starts to whine about how unreliable his friend is, how he left him behind, and mumbles something about Avernum, a city in the west. Then he seems to face out and refuses to answer any of your more pointed questions of Mavero's whereabouts. Buy him some bogweed to loosen his tongue. Your plan works, and Kaluk comes out of torpor again. Unfortunately, he has no idea where his former associate might be, and you believe him. He mumbles about some great plan Mavero had for both of them, about leaving the city for good and starting anew, but the sly bastard must have abandoned him for his new spouse, a prostitute by the name of Akata. Before becoming catatonic, he lets you know that the woman works in the Chorus Natis, a brothel in the Undercity. Okay. Seek out Akada. The brothel in question looks just like the others in the district. Colorful light gleams behind the many windows of a dilapidated building, surrounded by an aura of desperation. You walk in and soon realize you'll only be able to speak to Akada if you purchase some time with her specifically. Okay. Akada is a fidgety, curvy demonkin girl, somewhere between 17 and 20 years of age. Her shaved head, crown of small horns, orange irises, and strange skin pigmentation surely makes her a local curiosity. She's not very bright either. When she realizes you're here because of Mavero, her eyes light up and she starts to jabber about finally leaving. I thought something has happened, that he left without me, but now he sends you, so we're finally leaving. Oh, yes, yes. She's already started to pack and looks up to you. Oh, sorry, I'm just excited to leave this dump. Tell me you're here to give me the message about going to the hideout and getting me out of the chorus. Actually, you inform Akada about Mavero's supposed disappearance and that you were hired to locate him. She realizes fairly quickly that her dreams of escaping her life here are probably ruined by her spouse's vanishing. She gathers her wits fairly quickly. You figure she expects violence unless you cooperate, so she begins to talk. Alright, in that case he can go fuck himself. I was to wait here until he sends a messenger. All the money he was saving, all the cons, he was planning to run away with me. We were supposed to meet in his hideout, but I'm not permitted to leave here unless loaned out, so his messenger was supposed to pay the brothel so that I could leave. You ask her where Mavero's hideout is. At his house, of course. Never been there myself. The person who was supposed to come for me would have taken me there, but I know what to do once there. You have to leave through a back window, which leads into a space inaccessible otherwise. There should be a sewer entrance. Go down, follow the path, then turn right. The hideout is after a cave-in. I doubt you'll find anything there, though. The bastard must have taken someone else with him. Alright, I'm not paying her so she can leave. She's a whore. Go out the window, in the back, and into the sewers, following Akada's instructions. 2 people? Who do I bring, then? Where's the regen? I don't know if the regen is actually worth having on, but... Wait, where is it? The Thotmas Idol. Maybe him and her. You take a small team through the back window, into a small space completely surrounded by firewalls. There you find an entrance to the sewers beneath the dirty leather awning. Taking your companions down the stone ladder into the gag-inducing darkness, you climb until eventually you reach the tunnels below. Akata said to follow the path, then turn right at the following junction, and when reaching a cave-in, you will be able to find a hidden room opening from the main path. She wasn't lying. The room is a little hard to spot in torchlight, as its entrance is partially covered by a large stone slab, but there it is. As you enter, you see that it is fairly spacious, if simply furnished, carved out of the rock itself. The stench here is horrendous, worse than the sewers somehow. Among the sacks, amphorae, and jugs stacked at the far wall is something that looks like a corpse. Unfortunately, you have no time to investigate, as gurgling sounds break the monotony of the sewers trickling. You step out of the room and come face to face with a coterie of undead shuffling towards you. Backing into the room, you realize that your way of escape has been cut off. Got some good AoEs. There we go. The Forsaken are dealt with, lying in a heap at your feet. The corpse at the back of the room is not reanimated, just a simple corpse, Maveros. It appears that whatever he was up to down here, whatever he was planning, was cut short by an attack of the undead shamblers. The bite marks and broken bones are a testament to that. He has been dead for weeks now, but the head could still be taken as proof of his demise. On him is a small satchel of coins, definitely not enough to account for all the money he has taken from the merchants. However, no amount of searching turns up anything else. There are only rotten wares and perished supplies in the containers. You leave the hideout and go back to the streets. Time to deliver the head. Look for Gravan. Report to Gravan and his associates on your findings about Mavero. So he was dead all along. Looks like Gravan is disappointed after you tell him the story of what happened to Mavero and present the half-rotten, but still recognizable head. Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm happy that his miserable life ended, but I would have preferred if justice was served properly beforehand. But this, well, maybe we could see it as poetic justice. In any case, you are to be rewarded for your efforts, Vagrus. I was thinking some city assassin would claim the reward, but here you're proving me wrong. I'll be sure to tell everyone about your worth. With that, he motions to his servant, who gives you a pair of large silver coins. There is some more genial small talk, but eventually you take your leave. Well, I've got another renown. Alright. That's good. That's really good. We only need to do one more quest and then we'll see. 32 insight. I don't think we can level up anyone. Oh, she can actually level all the way. What was I gonna take with her then? Arcane Leech is super good, but I don't think you need it. That's the thing. Dark Pact, Sorceress, Tenacious, Block, Evade, Vitality. Like, does she need any of these things? I don't really think so. She's just a backliner. So, like... Domination could be, like, super good. What does Enervated do? Preventing the use of enervating skills. Yes. And here, this one. I feel like domination, if this works on an enemy, this is like super OP. But if it doesn't work, it's useless. So I don't know if it's worthwhile. Now this one, this can do six damage to 4 enemies. Well, this does 5 damage. 5, 6, 7. 7 damage to 2 enemies. So this does do more damage overall, I believe. Oh, this is penetrating. So yeah, this does 14 damage. And this does... 6 times 4. This does 24 damage, right? So I think conflagration and domination would be good. Yet. Alright, we can get her to max level. Not gonna get Summon Servant. So the question is, at this point we have 29 proficiency. I don't feel like I need any of these. Like, I can get her a bit more vitality, but it costs a lot. So we could just get more stuff here. Like religion, history, engineering, alchemy, beast lore. We can just max her out almost. If not just almost, but actually. Everything except for... No, we can get the last persuasion too. Alright. She's max level, which doesn't seem to do anything inherently at all. But she is max level. It just makes you do more damage almost. Because, well, if you buy these, that is. That does seem to be all it does. And that was all of my insight. I have 2 left. I should get 1 in everything. Any more supplies? Nope. All right, let's go. And the winds, the winds. Always something about the winds. All right. Get some free supplies. Turn in the supply run for here. Carpenter's contract. Do we have anything more that we haven't claimed? No. So let's see. Nothing here. I think pretty much everything you can sell here is worth more at the Twin Towers. Now, is there anything worth buying here or selling at the Twin Towers? Spice. It's only spice. But nobody sells spice here. Okay. All right. Coffee beans are not in demand. Well, actually, we weren't gonna sell those here anyway, but spice is in demand. Oh, good. Hides. Good price. Tin. Obsidian. Good price. Really good price for obsidian here. Ceruleum. Ceruleus. Decent price. Flavio. Decent price. And that's it, I believe. There's nothing here worth buying, I think. At all? The question is... Can we get any fucking quests here? I've already done this. I don't know what to do. Like, I'm genuinely trying to do these quests, but the game is just not really helping me do it. Like, I don't know how to progress. Like, how do you deal with the wind? Like, there's nothing that has anything to do with that. Like, this is it. I don't know. What am I supposed to do? Because you can't do anything here. If you try to go into Caravan, you just die. So if we go over to Tectum Kelvar, there's not going to be anything there. Then we go to Caravan. It's not going to do anything either because you can't go in there. But like going down here doesn't seem to matter. Alright, I'm gonna save here. And then we're just gonna make a run for it and see if we can figure anything out over here. Now, the thing is, we can go down into the Tectum, but it's just like infinite enemies in there. That's it. Wait, why don't I have charge? Ouch! I want to have more resourcefulness. Alright, I'll ask the rider. Alright. Descend down the slope. Your companions join you in this daring venture. The descent is treacherous. With your companions in tow, you begin to scale the natural ramp. About halfway through, the slope abruptly drops to a much steeper angle, and its surface becomes noticeably unstable. After all, it was created by a landslide. Your party is almost there when it happens. One of your companions steps on a loose spot, slips and begins to slide downward with increasing speed, arms waving frantically. Another instinctively reaches out, only to be swept away. The result is a small rock slide, engulfing the whole of the company. For a terrible moment you start to tumble down as well, but then find your balance at the last moment while pieces of rock cascade down around you. After catching your breath, you continue your descent with double caution. As you make it down to the level of the arch, you take a good look at your surroundings. One thing is for sure, getting back up to the top will be much easier as the debris you've just dislodged piled up to a nice mound, leading back to the precipice. Turning around, you see the arch before you, and beyond that, the tunnel. It hides a tall door cut into the rock surface, its two heavy relief wings shattered and agape. From the black rectangle that is the door, a chill and dry gush of air issues forth. Step through the door. You find yourself in a medium-sized entrance hall, half of it caved in, its floor covered in pieces of collapsed wall and ceiling. Intact surfaces are decorated with murals and mosaics depicting prosperous cities and wheat fields under blue skies, fragments of how the world must have looked like before the calamity. Originally, several exits lead from this hall to the rest of the complex, but now all of them are blocked by debris, except for one to the left beyond which you can make out a dark corridor. As you approach it, there is a sudden noise, a quick series of slapping sounds, growing fainter by the second, as if someone or something was running away barefoot. Straining your eyes, you try to spot what might have caused it, but see nothing. Enter the corridor. After just a few steps, the corridor slopes downwards, leading deeper into the bowels of the earth. Set in the walls are at about eye level are small alcoves, all of them empty except for pieces of shattered earthenware. Yet a few paces away something catches your eye amidst a pile of rubble. There is a faint white item under the pebbles. Stooping down, you clear away the rubble and find an exquisite statuette carved of marble, an art piece from before the calamity. Not a bad find. so the rumors of Tectum Kelvar's buried treasures might be true after all. A bit further away, the corridor ends, and you can see a narrow stairway with spiral steps leading into the depths of the earth. Descend down the stairs. Okay, so it's different this time. Last time it was just encounter after encounter after encounter after encounter, I felt like. Because I think I went down here, or maybe I went down and died. That might have happened. The stairs wind down for quite a long time, maybe for a minute or even two. At its lower end, you find a small antechamber leading into a larger room, the entrance of which is half obstructed by pieces of the collapsed ceiling, so you end up clambering under it on all fours to get inside. Unfortunately, one of you accidentally brushes the unstable walls, and with a grinding sound, pieces of loose brick, each about fist-sized, start to fall down on you and your companions. Try to jump aside. You all manage to jump to safety, the bricks pelting down behind you. Luckily, the rubble doesn't obstruct your way back. You stand in a chamber supported by 4 pillars, amidst of which a block of marble stands. It is instantly recognizable from its reliefs and shape as an altar. Stone benches line the walls, and on the floor you spot 2 iron-wrought braziers, toppled over. A single door opens from this room, opposite the antechamber from where you entered. Continue through the exit. Beyond the door you find another set of stairs that lead down to a huge semicircular room with a domed ceiling. On the opposite side are similar stairs, but impassable, blocked by debris. The center of the hall features a rectangular basin, now empty, but the main landmark is undoubtedly the huge pedestal that occupies the whole of the northern side. Steps lead up to where the wall is covered by lines of engraved writing. Is this some kind of memorial site? Mixtape sucks? Wow, what a surprise! What a surprise. Hey, at least it's short, I suppose. Before you could decide whether or not to explore this place further, one of your companions barks a warning. From underneath the stairs, a multitude of dark, nimbly moving shapes emerge in deadly silence and close up on you with quite obvious intent. Repel the attack. Holy shit, that's a lot of assholes. This is why I didn't go in here more, because it's like infinity guys. My dudes are kind of ass, but I have like 3 times more AoE now. Which is more like 3. Instead of 1, it's 3. Do they have armor? They have 0 armor. 2 to 3 or 4 to 6. Yeah, I mean, aim shot is just better. And then we do this one this time. Yeah, dodge there. I had to kill some. Yep. Kill. No, you bastard. Evade, 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 evade. Well, at least I'm evading. Actually didn't take that much damage this time, which is good. One more dead. Yeah, I'm just gonna try to kill him. Ouch. Evade, 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 evade. He survived? The creatures fight viciously, but in the end you manage to overcome them. You can only hope that there aren't more of them stalking around, and that you aren't in for any more nasty surprises. At least the hall below with the days seems empty. Walk into the hall. Down here, the hall doesn't look much different than it did from the top of the stairs. Now you can see a mosaic at the bottom of the basin showing two graceful women in togas pouring water from a svelte carafe. I don't know how to pronounce that. Otherwise, there doesn't seem to be anything of interest here, except for the blocks of writing on the wall beyond the dais. Scale the stairs and examine the dais. That's super important that we manage. The surface upon which the inscription is engraved is full of cracks, and parts of it are missing, lying scattered around in pieces on the floor. The parts that are readable are clearly in Old Imperial. You try to decipher it as much as you can, and although you find it quite difficult, after a while you're able to identify a multitude of words, long phrases, and even whole paragraphs. Much of what you don't understand instantly you can deduce from context. According to the date on the very top, the first lines were written when Tectum Kelvar was founded and its first inhabitants moved in, just a short time before the calamity. These paragraphs beseech the gods for their blessing and express hope that Tectum Kelvar will endure and its citizens prosper in the dark depths of the earth. What follows is an account of the Vault City's history. Rather uneventful and tedious, really, until you come to a passage which reads, "A strange ailment has befallen some of the citizens. First, but a few, then with time more and more were affected. The council decreed them to be separated and held in a quarantine in the hopes of preventing from spreading. This apparently didn't work, for after some interesting passages the sickness is mentioned again. This month the council debated the suggestion to banish the afflicted to the outer caves, as the quarantine did not appear to succeed in containing the ailment, which the common folk took to calling the hunger woe. The idea was dismissed by a few votes. There is unrest in the city, those who fear for their afflicted relatives, and those who would rather see them exiled. However, the council can cast aside its worry regarding supplies for a good while, as the sick seem to have little to no need for nourishment. They claim to constant hunger, yet will take no food, nor do they seem to waste away because of the lack of it. You read on, however unsettling the account becomes. For some time there is no mention of the mysterious disease, but when it appears again in the text, the paragraphs describing it become more and more frequent. The debate came up again. The council voted unanimously for the afflicted to be forced into the outer caves, which then shall be sealed off by a newly erected wall built from. There was a minority of voices demanding a drastic solution, and although the notion was never considered in earnest, it was certainly heard. After an unintelligible part, it continues. This month has seen the fourth skirmish at Hungerwoe Wall. As more and more citizens are sent beyond it, the sick become harder to contain. Legionnaires speak of unnerving physical and behavioral changes amongst those afflicted the longest. There is a brief talk of mushroom farming before the topic becomes the affliction again. Hungerwoe Wall no longer serves a purpose, except for maybe containing the very worst cases, but has spread to the entirety of Tectum Kelvar. Those who remain healthy lock themselves away in their homes. The streets are loud with the increasingly inhuman wails of the sick. There were no inscriptions for a few days. Then it goes on. The city has entered a state of civil war, fights each other, and everyone tries to purge those stricken by the hunger woe. Even in their weakened state, some of the afflicted manage to fight back, fearfully effective hordes. Praetor Davius led a group of legionnaires to the Great Gate, hoping to escape to the surface, despite what horrors could await him there. He was slain by his former superior, Centurion Stagio. A wholly unreadable part, decimated by mold. Merciful gods, now we know what they eat. Short prayers follow. The writhing becomes more and more erratic. No, the writing becomes more and more erratic. Then, fire high above and down below. Exalted songs of torment in the dark, laughter in the depths, gifts of destiny in the cradle. The tempest bestows cherubs on the unseeing. Or is it cherubs? I don't actually know how to pronounce that. I'm not Christian. The tempest bestows cherubs on the unseeing. Come hither thee all, the feast is prepared. There, the inscription ends, and only slabs of stone left empty follow. You have read the account for better or worse. You cannot help but shiver, though the text is incomplete and vague at best. It is quite clear that the inhabitants of Tectum Kelvar were beset by some unnatural disease, or maybe madness, that transformed them and turned them against each other, wiping them out in the end. You've seen enough. It's time to leave this accursed place. But that was it? Oh, okay, 10 XP, sure, I guess. 3 ancient tablets. Sure, I guess. It didn't really do anything, though. I'll take it. But we'll stop there. But honestly, I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Like, the best I can think of is trying to sneak by here. But we don't have a reason to really sneak by here. Like, we need to solve the wind issue. So how do you solve the wind issue? I can't find any leads. The only things I can think of is, like, trying to go back into Calavan, randomly just going into the vortex, and that's it. Because otherwise, no one talks about it. Like, I've already gone to Sadirar, talked to all of the shamans here about it. Like, nobody knows anything. I've gone to Torzag's shelter, nobody cares. Devon, nobody cares. And it's just not relevant anywhere else. So I don't know what to do. Like, you cannot get a quest to do anything about it. And the entire world is just blocked off. There's no way I'm not supposed to be able to go down here at all. Like, I'll be honest. If I can't go down here, this game sucks. It's that simple. If I can go down here, then that's cool. If not, the game's just ass. Same thing. If I can't go up to Tot, if I can't go to Radon, then why does the game like present itself like I can? So I'm just assuming that we can deal with the wind, but I just can't find a way to do it. I mean, we've already marched, so let's go. I saved here, so let's go down and see if we can go into Caravan somehow. But I just don't believe it's possible. Can't hunt here because there's nobody here, or nothing lives here at all. Use looking glass to spy on the city. You raise the spyglass to your eyes and glimpse the crumbling walls of forsaken Caravan, and beyond that, the snow-white spires of marble reaching towards the roiling skies. The beautiful slender towers are covered in golden patterns that imitate vines, floral clusters, and leaves. If legends are true, these are indeed fashioned of precious metal. Yet the things that amaze you the most are the gigantic bridges in the sky, connecting spires and dome-shaped buildings. Around their alien form, you can clearly see luminous, transparent shapes circling ancient crystal reliefs and silver ornaments. A shiver runs down your spine. And still it is very difficult to turn away, to leave the unfathomable riches and secrets of this place behind. It is almost as if Caravan was calling you. Yeah. Try to push your crew to the limit and reach the city's interior. You manage to convince your crew that shelter from the terrible screams await among the ruins, along with untold treasures. It is the last mistake you will ever make. The Comitatus manages to cover another 100 yards or so, with people succumbing to the mental blasts left and right. Eventually, you realize that you should not have ordered this suicidal push. Just about when you fall to your knees, ears bleeding, unable to blot out the otherworldly scream of the wind. Yeah. I don't know. If I can't figure out how to deal with this, then I don't know what to do in the game at all. So if we don't figure it out next time, I'm just gonna Google what to do. I'll be honest. I don't feel like running around the entire world just trying to get like a trigger to like start the quest that's like the obvious thing that's everywhere here. Like I should be like I don't understand. Like I genuinely don't understand the quest line. Because you get a quest to investigate, then you go and you hand it in, and then it just ends. Like, I don't get it. Like, maybe the start of the game revolves around getting a certain amount of renown. So that's what I need to do. We need to get to 9 renown, then we can do the worms. And once we've done the worms, maybe we're like recognized as a hero, and maybe they'll send us to deal with this. I don't know. And also, if we can't talk to the guy for the worms when we reach renown 9, then I think the game might be bricked, but I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, until next time, thanks for hanging. Have a good night. Bye bye.